The news of Earthborn arrival spread quickly across the galaxy. Rebellions sparked in places where the Empire's grip had been tight for centuries. Old enemies of the Empire saw hope and began to act. Small groups of rebels sent messages asking for help. The Earthborn answered. Captain Riley found himself torn. He had served the Empire for years, but now he saw something new. The Earthborn healed sick colonies, freed slaves, and gave food and medicine to the poor. Their actions made him question everything he believed. One day, as Riley walked through a freed colony, children played with Earthborn technology. Machines that cleaned water and made food easily. People smiled for the first time in years. Riley spoke quietly with a freed worker named Mina. "Do you believe the Earthborn will change things?" he asked. Mina nodded. "We have no other hope. The Empire only takes and leaves pain. Earthborn give us a chance, but not everyone welcomed the Earthborn. Grand Admiral Miles saw them as a threat that could destroy the Empire. He ordered a large fleet to prepare for battle. "We will strike first," he said. "We will show them the power of the Empire." In secret meetings, plans were made, weapons were tested, soldiers trained for a fight. That seemed more and more likely. Claire watched the preparations from the Earthborn ship. She spoke to Captain Riley. "They fear us. They see us as enemies. But we do not want war. What if they attack anyway? Then we will defend the weak. We cannot back down." The Empire's spies brought news of a hidden fleet far beyond the outer stars, hundreds of ships waiting. Claire's words were clear. Earth had only sent a small group to make peace. If attacked, many more would come. Senator Grant tried to calm the leaders. "We must find a way to avoid war. The Empire has ruled for a long time, but times are changing." Some officers agreed. Others prepared for battle. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, rebel groups grew stronger. They saw the Earthborn as a symbol of hope. Small planets that had lived in fear began to rise up. The Empire's control was weakening. Captain Riley made a choice. He could no longer fight for the Empire without question. He reached out to Claire and her team. "I want to help you. I want to be part of this change." Claire smiled. "We need people like you. Together, we can free many." The tension grew. The Empire fleet gathered near a central planet, a symbol of their control. The Earthborn ships moved close, but did not attack. The final moment was near. The Empire sent a message to the Earthborn: "Leave now or face destruction." Claire replied calmly, "We came for peace, but we will protect those who seek freedom." Captain Riley worked inside the Empire fleet. He and a small team disabled key weapon systems. The battle began with sudden speed. Earthborn ships moved fast and silently. Their cloaking devices made them hard to see. The Empire's fleet fell into confusion. Senator Grant called for a stop to the fight. "We cannot win this war." Grand Admiral Miles had no choice but to order a retreat. The Earthborn did not pursue. They made one demand: freedom for all enslaved, worlds, and an end to the Empire's conquest. The galaxy watched as Earth, once forgotten, stood strong not as a conqueror, but as a protector. The Empire was shaken, but alive. A new chapter had begun. The Earthborn ship entered the skies above the Empire's capital. The city below was large and bright, full of tall buildings and flying cars. Soldiers stood ready, but they were nervous. No one had ever seen a ship like this one. The ship landed, without sound. The ramp opened, and Claire stepped out with her team. They were calm, quiet, and moved with purpose. Captain Riley walked beside them. His face was serious. He had told the Empire that the Earthborn meant no harm, but he was not sure if anyone believed him. Senator Grant waited for them inside the main government building. He greeted Claire with a polite nod. "Welcome to the capital," he said. "Thank you," Claire replied. "We came to talk, not to fight." They entered a large room where many leaders of the Empire sat. Some looked angry, some looked afraid. All of them were watching closely. Claire stood before them. "We are from Earth. We never died. We went silent because we were not ready to face the Empire. Now we are. We have returned, not for war, but to help those who are suffering." One of the high officers stood. "If Earth is strong, why stay hidden so long? Why not speak to us years ago?" "Because we were weak. We saw what happened to the colonies the Empire took. We needed time to grow. We built our own world, far from here. We studied. We learned. We built faster ships and stronger tools. Now we are here." Another officer spoke. "What do you want?" "We want the Empire to stop hurting others. We want the slaves freed. We want the people to have hope again." There was silence in the room. These words were bold. No one had ever spoken to the Empire like this before. Senator Grant broke the silence. "If what you say is true, then Earth has power we cannot match. But why help others when you could rule?" Claire looked around the room. "We do not want to rule. We want freedom, not just for humans, but for all who live in fear." Outside the capital, more Earthborn ships arrived. They did not attack. They stayed in space, watching. People in the city looked up and whispered. Some felt fear. Others felt hope. Captain Riley saw how people talked about Earth in the streets. Some cheered, some were angry. Change had come, and not everyone was ready. The Empire's leaders met in secret that night. Grand Admiral Miles slammed his hand on the table. "They are trying to turn the people against us. We must act." "But they have done nothing violent," Senator Grant said. "Not yet, but their words are dangerous. Then we should talk more, not fight. War will bring loss to both sides. If we wait, we lose control." On the streets, people started to gather. Small groups held signs. They asked for better food, clean water, and fair treatment. They talked about Earth. They called Claire a hero. Captain Riley met Claire in the Earthborn ship. "Things are changing fast," he said. Claire nodded. "We knew this would happen. The truth always wakes people up. Some leaders want to stop you. They feel threatened. We are not afraid. But we do not want war. If they attack, we will defend ourselves. What happens if they force a battle? Then Earth will send more. Many more." Claire showed Riley a small screen. On it was a fleet of Earthborn ships, hundreds of them, each one larger and faster than any the Empire had. "This is what waits beyond the edge of your maps," Claire said. Riley was silent. He had never seen so many powerful ships. If this is real, then the Empire is in trouble. "It is real. We only sent a few of us to speak. We hoped that would be enough." That night, rebel groups in other parts of the Empire sent messages. They had heard the news. They asked for help. The Earthborn answered. Small teams went to those planets. They gave medicine, food, and tools. They asked for no payment. They only asked for peace. The people started to believe. The Empire started to shake. In the capital, Grand Admiral Miles prepared the fleet. He wanted to strike before it was too late. "If we wait, we lose everything," he told his officers. We must hit their ships before they call for more. But Senator, Grant spoke on the news. He told the people what Claire had said. He asked for peace. He warned against war. People listened. They began to speak out. Even some low-ranking soldiers began to question orders. Captain Riley sat alone that evening. He looked at the stars. He thought about all he had done in service to the Empire. Then he thought about the people he had seen suffering. He thought about Claire. He knew a choice was coming, and he had to make it soon. Earth had returned. The Empire was afraid, and the galaxy was watching. It was a quiet night on the edge of known space. The stars looked calm, but inside the control room of Outpost Orion, things were not calm at all. A strange signal had been picked up by the scanners. It moved fast, faster than anything the Galactic Empire had ever seen. Commander Logan stood near the screen, watching the blip. He had seen many things in his years of service, but nothing like this. The object had no name, no ID code, and no known design. It came out of nowhere and crossed space in a way that made no sense. It did not follow the rules of known travel. Where is it now? Logan asked the technician. It just passed Sector 8, sir. It will reach Station Zetany in 5 minutes. Logan narrowed his eyes. Try to hail it again. No response, sir. The signal kept coming, faster and faster. It did not answer. It did not slow down. It was not a normal ship. It did not behave like anything they knew. In the capital of the Empire, the message reached Grand Admiral Miles. He was a strong man with grey hair and a sharp look. He had spent his life keeping the galaxy under control. He did not like surprises, and this was a big one. How can a ship be this fast? He asked his staff. No one had an answer. Send a warning to all outer stations, and send a scout fleet to follow it, he ordered. While the Empire tried to react, the strange ship reached a small moon with a mining colony. The workers on the moon looked up and saw a shadow in the sky. It was large, dark, and silent. It did not look like anything they had ever seen. Some thought it was a ghost ship. Others thought it was a new weapon. The miners called the local control station. Something is in the sky. It is not from the Empire. Back at the outpost, Logan watched as drones were sent to check the ship. The drones flew fast, but the ship was faster. One by one, the drones were destroyed by a silent flash. No sound, no warning. This is not good, Logan said. He sent a message to the capital. We have made contact. The object is unknown. It is not friendly to our machines. In the capital, the top leaders gathered. There was fear in the room. The Empire was strong. It had ruled for hundreds of years. But now, something had come from the dark parts of space. Something that did not fear the Empire. Grand Admiral Miles stood up. We must prepare. This could be a threat. This could be a test. Who could build something like this? Asked Senator Grant. No one we know. It is not from our records. It is not from any of our old enemies. Then where is it from? No one answered. The ship stayed above the mining moon for hours. It did not attack. It did not leave. It just stayed there, silent. And still, people watched it from below. Children pointed at it. Some were afraid. Some were curious. Then, just before dawn, the ship moved again. Slowly, it came down. It stopped just above the ground. A light came from under it, and something came out. A group of people stepped onto the ground. They looked human. They wore strong armor that glowed in places. One of them stepped forward. A woman with short brown hair. Her voice was calm, and it echoed in the air. We come in peace. We are from Earth. We heard the call of those in need. We have returned. The miners stared. One of them asked, "Did she say Earth?" The name spread fast. Earth. A planet that was lost. A place from old books and broken maps. The Empire had taken its early colonies long ago and thought the planet was useless. No one had heard from Earth in centuries, but now Earth had come back. With a ship no one could understand, with people who moved with skill and power. The Empire watched, and for the first time in many years, it felt fear. Grand Admiral Miles called for a secret meeting. If this is Earth, and if this is what they can do, we may have a new problem. Commander Logan sent a new message to the capital. We made contact. They say they are from Earth. The reply came back fast. Hold your position, do not attack. We must learn more. The Empire, which had ruled the stars for so long, had never expected this. A ship that was not in any records. A ship that moved faster than light. A voice from a lost world. And so it began. The mining colony was quiet as the Earthborn team stood before the workers. Claire, the woman who spoke for the group, looked calm. Her armor shimmered under the early light. Behind her, 5 others stood with helmets on, holding strange tools and weapons. Captain Riley arrived on a small ship sent by Outpost Orion. He stepped out, holding his weapon low but ready. His mission was to talk, not fight. He had been in many first contact missions, but this one felt different. He walked slowly toward Claire. "You said you were from Earth. Is that true?" Claire nodded. "Yes. Earth sent us. We are here to help." Riley looked confused. "Earth is lost. The Empire said it was destroyed long ago." "That is not true," Claire said. "Earth was never destroyed. We just stayed silent. We waited. Waited for what? Waited for the right time. The Empire took many worlds, including ours. We did not forget. We prepared. Now we are ready." Riley looked at her team. Their weapons looked more advanced than anything he had seen. Their ship had moved in ways he could not explain. Why come now? Why this colony? Claire turned to the miners. "We heard old signals, cries for help from people forgotten by the Empire. We tracked them. We came to free them." The miners listened with wide eyes. One old man stepped forward. "You are really from Earth, the real Earth." Claire gave a small smile. "Yes, we are your brothers and sisters. We came home." Captain Riley sent a full report back to the Empire. The message reached the capital quickly. Senator Grant read the report with growing concern. "Earth is alive," he said to Grand Admiral Miles, "and they are more powerful than we thought." Miles looked at the data. They have ships that move faster than light. Their armor blocks scans. Their weapons break our drones. They say they want peace. "Peace is not always what it seems," Miles said. "They are here for a reason. We need to learn more." Back on the mining moon, Claire and her team helped the workers fix machines and heal the sick. They brought tools that cleaned water and made food. The miners had never seen such things. Captain Riley stayed close. He watched how the people trusted. The Earthborn, he saw fear in the eyes of the Empire soldiers and hope in the eyes of the miners. One evening, Claire sat by the fire with Riley. "Do you believe in the Empire, Captain?" Riley paused. "I used to. I fought for order, for safety. But lately, I see pain and fear in the places we control." Claire nodded. "That is why we are here. Not to rule, not to fight. but to give people a choice. If the Empire sees you as a threat, they will send warships. We are ready. But we do not want war. We want to free those who suffer. In space, more Earthborn ships arrived. They came without sound. Each one different, each one faster than what the Empire knew. They did not attack. They moved to places where people cried out, places where the Empire had turned away. The news spread fast. People on far planets began to talk. They remembered Earth as a myth. Now the myth had come alive. Some were afraid. Some were ready to believe. The Empire watched closely. They sent spies. They listened. They saw Earthborn fixing broken stations, feeding hungry families, and helping rebel worlds. Grand Admiral Miles called a new meeting. We cannot ignore this. Earth has returned, and their power grows. Senator Grant spoke calmly. They do not act like enemies. Maybe we should talk to them. Talking will not stop them if they want to break the Empire. Or maybe they will change it for the better, Grant said. Back at the mining colony, Captain Riley received new orders. He was told to bring Claire and her team to the capital. He agreed, but he made sure they were treated with respect. Claire walked onto the Empire ship without fear. Her team followed. The miners waved goodbye, some with tears in their eyes. We will return, Claire said. You are not alone anymore. As the ship flew toward the capital, Captain Riley looked at Claire. If this is true, he said, if Earth really has a fleet, if Earth really wants peace, then everything we know is about to change. Claire looked at the stars. Yes, the galaxy will never be the same. Admiral Lucas Grant stood on the wide landing platform of the Empire's capital planet. Behind him, the massive Earthship Dawnstar hovered silently. Its metal surface reflected the golden sunlight, making it look more like a myth than a machine. The people on the planet had never seen anything like it. Soldiers, workers, leaders, and even children gathered from every corner to witness this moment. But the Earthship had not come to attack. It had come to talk. Maria Lane stepped forward beside Admiral Grant. She looked calm but strong. She had spent years preparing for this moment. She was not just an envoy. She was a symbol of Earth's return. She smiled gently as she looked at the crowd. Commander Julia Scott and Captain Daniel Brooks waited near the Imperial Council Hall. They were no longer seen as tools of the Empire. They were now voices of change. They had supported peace when others wanted war. And now they were ready to speak for something better. The Emperor had not come to meet the Earth delegation. He had stayed inside the council hall, surrounded by guards and old advisors. But the people outside had already made up their minds. They had seen what the Dawnstar could do. More than that, they had seen that it chose not to destroy. That choice had changed everything. Lucas walked slowly toward the steps of the hall. Maria walked beside him. A line of guards stood at attention, unsure if they should salute or stop them. But no one moved. The silence was heavy. It was the kind of silence that came before something important. Inside the council hall, the doors opened with a quiet hiss. The old leaders stared at the humans from Earth. Some looked afraid, some looked angry, but none could ignore them. Lucas spoke first. His voice was calm but firm. We come not as enemies. We come to offer a future. A future where no world lives in fear. A future where power does not rule over peace. One of the elder counselors stood. His face was pale. Why now? Why return after all this time? Maria stepped forward. Because the galaxy is ready now. We have watched. We have waited. We know the Empire is not what it once was. The people want something more. We are here to offer that." There was a long pause. Then another counselor spoke. "What do you want in return?" Lucas looked at him and answered, "Only this. Let us build together. Let us share what we have learned. Let the people decide." Outside, the crowd began to cheer. The voices grew louder. The sound of hope filled the air. People waved their hands, held signs, and called out the names of the Earth leaders. Some even cried. They had not expected this. No one had. Back in the council room, Captain Brooks took a step forward. "You can try to keep power, but the galaxy has seen the truth. The Earth did not come to conquer, it came to help. You can choose to join us, or you can be left behind." The Emperor finally stood. He was old now, tired. He looked out the window at the crowd. Then he looked at the leaders in the room. He saw fear in their eyes, and something else. Doubt he had ruled for a long time, but the world had changed. He raised his hand and spoke. "If what you say is true, then perhaps it is time. Time for the Empire to become something new. Time for peace." Outside, the doors opened wide. Lucas and Maria stepped out into the light. Julia and Daniel followed. The people roared with joy. A new beginning had come. In the following days, talks began between Earth and the Empire. Old laws were reviewed. New voices were heard. Some planets declared their support for the alliance. Others asked for more time. But no one ignored the change. The Dawn Star became a symbol, not of fear, but of hope. It stayed in orbit, a quiet watcher of peace. More Earth ships arrived, bringing doctors, teachers, and builders. They did not bring soldiers. Julia Scott became one of the first leaders of the new Galactic Council. She worked with both Earth and former Imperial worlds to build something fair. Daniel Brooks led missions to outer colonies, not to control them, but to help rebuild. Maria Lane became a guide for diplomacy. She taught others how to listen and understand. She never raised her voice, but when she spoke, people listened. Lucas Grant remained admiral, but he no longer needed to fight. He spent his days teaching young cadets and sharing the history of Earth's rise. He told them not about battles, but about choices, about how strength is not just in weapons, but in mercy. One evening, as the sun set over the capital city, Lucas stood by a quiet lake near the council grounds. Maria joined him, holding a cup of warm tea. "Do you think we did the right thing?" she asked. Lucas smiled. "Look around. The people are not afraid anymore. That's how we know." Above them, the Dawn Star floated like a quiet guardian. The stars blinked in the sky. Somewhere far away, new ships were being built, not for war, but for travel, for learning, for peace. And on every world that had once feared Earth, a new story was being told. A story not of invasion, but of return. A story of hope. Lucas looked up at the sky and spoke softly. "We never left. We just waited for the right time to return." The wind carried his words across the hills, through the trees, and into the hearts of those who were ready to believe. The future had arrived, and it was human. The sky over the capital planet was quiet, but life inside the city was busy with change. People no longer feared warships or secret police. They walked freely, spoke freely, and for the first time in many years, they smiled. Without fear. It was the beginning of something new. But it was not without challenges. Admiral Lucas Grant sat in a large meeting hall filled with voices from every corner of the galaxy. Each table held leaders from different planets. Some wore traditional robes, others military uniforms, and some came in simple clothing to show they were just people who wanted peace. Lucas listened as they spoke, one by one, about their hopes and problems. He did not speak much. He knew the time for commands was over. Now was the time to listen. Maria Lane sat beside him, writing down the words of each speaker. She was patient and careful. She had helped bring Earth back into the galaxy, and now she worked to make sure the new alliance was fair. It was hard work. Some worlds still carried anger. Others feared Earth's power, but most wanted peace. Julia Scott had traveled to a planet named Leora, once a proud world under the Empire. Leora had rich lands and kind people, but years of rule had left scars. Julia walked with village leaders and young workers through fields that had been burned in old battles. She promised help, not with weapons, but with clean water, strong schools, and real choices. The people of Leora did not trust easily, but Julia stayed. She listened to their stories and shared her own. Slowly, they began to believe Captain Daniel Brooks was deep in space, far from the capital. He led a group of ships that brought supplies to lost colonies. Many of these places had not heard the full news. When they saw the Earth ships, they prepared for war, but Daniel always sent messages first. Simple ones. We come in peace. We bring food, tools, and medicine. We want to talk. Some ignored him. Others opened their doors. He never forced anyone. His goal was not to take control, but to help those who were ready. On a small moon near the border, trouble began. A group of old Empire officers, angry about losing power, had formed a secret army. They called themselves the True Flame. They wanted to bring the Empire back by force. They attacked a peaceful trade station and sent a message to the Council. Earth is a lie. Power belongs to the strong. The Council was shocked. Many were afraid. They looked to Lucas for action, but he did not shout or demand war. He simply called Maria, Julia, and Daniel to a secure meeting. We cannot answer hate with hate, Lucas said, but we cannot ignore them either. Maria nodded. We must protect the people, but we must not become like the old Empire. Daniel added, we can stop them, without starting another war. Let's be careful. They made a plan. Julia would return to the moon with engineers and doctors. Daniel would lead a fleet to protect the trade routes. Maria would speak to the nearby planets, asking for their support. Julia arrived first. The moon's people were scared, but they listened. She helped fix their power systems, gave medicine, and worked beside them. The True Flame tried to spread lies, but Julia's actions spoke louder. People began to report the rebels. Soon, the group lost its support. Daniel's fleet kept the space lanes safe. His ships never fired unless they had to. They used shields to protect and tools to repair. They caught rebel ships without harming anyone. Many surrendered without a fight. Daniel made sure they were treated fairly. Maria visited nearby planets and held open meetings. She answered hard questions. She shared the full truth. Some leaders who once feared Earth now stood beside her. Together, they signed a new peace statement. Back on the capital planet, Lucas met with rebel prisoners. He did not threaten them. He asked why they were angry. Some said they had lost everything. Others said they feared change. Lucas listened to them all. He gave them a choice: work with the new alliance, or live away from it. Most chose peace. The crisis passed without a single planet falling into war. It became a lesson for the whole galaxy. Strength is not just about weapons. It is about wisdom. Months later, the council met again. New members had joined from far. Worlds, farmers, teachers, pilots, and builders sat beside the old leaders. Maria gave a short speech. This is only the start. We are not perfect, but we are trying, and that is what makes us strong. People clapped. Some stood and raised their hands. They were ready. Lucas stood at a balcony later that evening. He watched the city lights below, the stars, ***,